blessed man. I'd like to have that as a characteristic of my life. Because so many people seem to be shriveled up. So many people seem to bring disaster to whatever they put their hand to. So many people go through so much of their life and they don't produce anything of value. How do we do that? We get grounded in God's Word. And this is our challenge for 2010. It's my challenge to you. It's the pastoral staff, our elders, our challenge corporately that you would be a person who soaks up God's Word over the course of this next year. Yeah, this last year, you remember our theme verse 2009. Remember? Let's read it together. Be And up here, now I know what you guys stare at the whole year, right? You guys did a whole lot better than the first service. All right. So for 2010, again, the cover of our bulletin is what it's about, is that we would be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, that we would get it, and that we would be infused with God's Word, that we would be living it, and that we would be able to speak that into the lives of other people around us. And so this is how we're going to go about this. And I would encourage you to be a part of this. First thing is we're going to be involved in daily reading. That's those feeder routes. We're just going to be in God's Word on a daily basis. And we've created these bookmarks right here. This is what a packet of bookmarks looks like. And there's 9 of them together. And what they have in them is Old Testament readings, Psalm readings, and New Testament readings. They're just kind of a magnified version of it. And what you do is you take the Old Testament one, you pull it out, and you put it in where? What do you think? Genesis 1:1. Yeah, you can read that one. Okay? And then you take your Psalm bookmark, and you put it in Psalm 1, which is why we're looking at that today. And then you take your New Testament bookmark, and you put it in Matthew 1. Right. Okay? We'll find that real quick. Close enough. All right? And then you put the other ones in your nightstand or somewhere where you're going to remember them so you don't have to come to us in 4 months. And then what you have is, notice this reading in January 1st, Genesis 1 and 2. And then you'll have Matthew 1 and Psalm 1. And that will be your reading on January 1st. And our desire is that you would be involved in daily reading. Now it says 365 revolutions. So there's an idea of this big picture. If we do this every day, we'll have read through the entire Old Testament once, and the entire New Testament twice, and the Psalms twice. That's pretty awesome. You know, just think how much you will soak up of God's Word if you do that over the course of this year. But what I really want to encourage you in is not 365. I want to encourage you January 1st. I want to encourage you January 10th. I want to encourage you like March 20th to read today. You know, some of you might end up with like lots of boxes that just have no check mark in them. And you're going to open that and you're like, man, I need to start going to Norfolk Baptist or some other church because I don't want to keep going to Dix Hills and be like, feel bad that I'm so behind. All right? Look, I'm going to guilt you a little bit today, but I'm going to try to not do it all year long. I'm not going to really guilt you. I'm going to plead the case for why we need to be in God's Word today. All right? And we're going to be talking about it, and it's going to be something that we're doing, but I don't want you to like all of a sudden leave the church because you feel too guilty. I want you to just read God's Word today. If you have lots of boxes and it's March 22nd, what you should read, don't read all of February and all of March. Read March 22nd and be up to speed with what everybody else is reading that day. It's that easy just to read today. What I'm encouraging is that we take these for everybody who's here, for everybody junior high and above. I think can do this whole thing. I'm going to see what junior high how it looks when middle schoolers do it in my own house. But also, 1st through 6th graders. I'm taking them for my younger kids, and they're going to read through just the New Testament and do the New Testament reading through the course of the year. Maybe they'll do the New Testament for the first half and the Psalms, the second half, I don't know, but and having them read through the New Testament. And just the kind of excitement of doing that together. And maybe if you're a couple and no kids, maybe you would do your New Testament reading together and your Old Testament reading separately, or vice versa, or read a portion of it together so that you have some time to encourage one another, and then read other parts separately. The bookmarks are a great way to just be in the right place and to remember where you are. Also, they have these particular books. That is ESV Daily Reading Bible. We had a bunch of these in the back last year, and we can make some of these, more of these available. How many of you would say, like, I'd be interested in getting a Bible that has cool bookmarks, even though we already made cool bookmarks? But this basically has the daily readings through the Bible. It's in the margins so that you can stay up. But we reproduce that in our bookmarks so that you can use your own Bible, the Bible you're used to, for doing that reading. Just read today. Read today. I'm going to basically ask our ushers to come up the kind of inside and outside. And if you're willing to take on that challenge and say, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I'll take a set of bookmarks and do that. And even if you're not willing, take a set of bookmarks, because at least that maybe will make you feel guilty for the first couple of days. And the cool thing about this, I feel like this is like a sales pitch. Take them now, and you don't have to read for 4 more days. That's right. You don't have to start reading until Friday. So take them now. You have 5 or 4 days to think about it before you have to commit to it on January 1st. And then also, if you have kids, there's some out on the wall in the foyer, so you can grab sections. I just encourage you to take the whole packet. Even if you have younger kids and you're only going to use the New Testament section, take the whole packet. That way there aren't ones out there that are only kind of mixed half. So, and that way if your second grader says, you know what, I want to read the whole Bible, then you have that all 4 minutes. All right, reading daily, being involved in that, and just, again, read today. That's not too hard. We're also going to spend this year meditating on it by hearing it. And so we're going to be doing it in our weekly sermons. Now, you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, Pastor Steve's going to preach through the whole Bible this year. That's going to be a long service. And yes and no, because we're not going to preach through the whole Bible. We're going to preach from the whole Bible over the course of the year. Myself and Pastor Sam, we're going to be preaching out of next week's reading. It's something that you're going to be going into over the course of this next week. We're going to try to answer some questions of those particular verses, but we're going to look at 10 different series. First of all is the series of being rooted, but then we're going to get into the issue of discipleship and how to be a good follower of Jesus. We're going to get into the issue of suffering and the times when it says his leaf does not wither, when the circumstances around us would cause us to wither. And the dry times, God is using those dry times in our lives for various reasons. So we're going to look at some Old Testament and New Testament passages that describe dry times and God's purposes in them. And we're going to look at, around Easter time and the weeks following that, living victory, what it means to just have a victorious Christian life that people talk about and sometimes might seem elusive to you. We're going to talk about that. We're going to look at living as a Christian in 21st century culture and asking the question of when Jesus says they're in the world but not of the world, what does that look like for us with particular cultural issues that we're dealing with? We're going to look at prayer together. We're going to look at if Jesus were today and being followed by paparazzi and he had microphones in his face morning and night, what kinds of things would he be saying to particular people in the news and in our culture and in our world today? What statements would he be making to particular influential people? We're going to look at the mission of God's people and again, from the Old Testament and the New Testament to help us get oriented in our church's mission. We're going to look at the judgment. One of the things that I've heard over and over again is that the United States is kind of living in a period of judgment. It's decisions we've made in 1964, taking prayer out of schools and taking God out of the schools and God out of this, God out of that. Now we're living in judgment, and because of the legislation that we're enacting in various ways over the course of these last few decades, we're living in judgment.